right, welcome back to another Origin special, Zane. Game 2 preview this time.
Game 2, yes. We're ready for it. It's a very nerve-wracking night if you're a New South Wales supporter.
Are you ready for it?
I am.
I'm
very
not
keen for this.
Now, obviously...
I've got confidence.
You got confidence?
I do.
You seem to have more confidence than I do.
I think so.
You might have more confidence than half the state. I don't know if there's many confident people out there.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. I just have this vibe.
Bit of vibe.
I do.
Same vibe as game 1 when we got thrashed.
More confident.
More
vibe,
confident.
Yeah. I don't know why. Up there, I have a more confident vibe that they can win, but
head into Suncorp without Troll, without Cleary, and you're more confident.
Yeah.
Zane's
we'll get to the predictions soon. I think I just have a feeling they're going to win.
Zane just really likes Mitch Moses.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's get through. Obviously, we're going to do New South Wales first. We got the wigs back on.
Yes.
It's hurting my head already, but we will do New South Wales first. The better state, arguably, in our opinions. Obviously, on paper, probably not at the moment.
Yeah.
It is what it is. All right, let's start at the back. Now, he had a shocker in game 1.
Terrible game.
There's no denying that. James Tedesco, did he deserve to keep his spot?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Performance-wise, you'd say no, but like as a general-wise, yes.
Yeah.
He's the captain. He's the most experienced player in the side. I'd say
he
close
would
to
be.
it. I think
He would be easily, I think.
maybe Frizzell, but
Oh, yeah. Him or Frizzell, definitely.
you know, he was never going to lose his spot.
I
And even
think-
Greg Alexander confirmed it pretty shortly after the game. He wasn't going to be losing it anytime soon.
Obviously, a lot of people wanted Edwards, I think, was the general consensus.
I know, but
to
every
replace
year,
him.
people want to see a different player play Origin. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I remember back in 2018, everyone's calling for Latrell to play Origin. He gets his spot. There's been more, like Adokar as well. Everyone was calling for him to play Origin. He got left out last year. People wanted him back. And now people are saying he should be out again. Like, not every player can play State of Origin.
Yeah.
Like, they don't change the side every year. Like, I remember Pappenhausen was the debate as well. Before Dylan Edwards.
yeah.
There was always Pappenhausen.
Yeah, there's always someone.
Yeah.
I think, and the fact that
Who's going to
obviously
be next? Hayes Perham?
Hayes Perham is a Kiwi and terrible.
is he?
So, so no, he will not be next. I think, Jake Averillo maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
I was going to say, I think the fact, which we'll come back to this, but Cleary being out, I think, gives more reason for Tedesco to stay.
Yeah.
Because you need the experience. So, yeah, I think
He was never going to lose it anyway.
Game 1, he was terrible.
He was, yeah.
And
terrible game.
if he didn't have his Origin past, he probably does get dropped, to be honest.
Yeah, you reckon?
But what do you think? Do you think
That was his
or not?
debut game.
Say that's his third or fourth Origin, or first series. Say it's his first series, not debut.
Oh, that was his first
series,
as a starting.
Yes, say he'd been in camp before.
Possibly. I'll say possibly. I'm not sure.
Like if it was Campbell Graham's been in camp before and been 18th man before, and then he tosses up that performance as he get dropped.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But I think the fact that he has had the history at it, and he's the captain.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's not forget that he's the captain of the state and of the country.
Exactly.
So
He's never losing it.
we can keep having that debate every Origin, but I think he'll go out on his own terms.
Exactly.
Unless, if he tosses up another bad game,
He'll
questions get
He'll be
asked.
there for the rest of the year.
But questions get asked.
Rest of the year at least.
Yeah. Brian Toto on one wing and Josh Adokar on the other wing.
No debates there.
As you just alluded to, there was a lot of people calling for Adokar. Not a lot, but some people.
People saying he hasn't played enough games. And these are probably the same people who wanted him playing last year.
And there was a lot of... Sorry, once again, not a lot, but there were some people saying that he had a bad game in Origin 1 and he deserved to be dropped. I didn't think he was bad in Origin 1.
Yeah.
It was more so he didn't get the ball.
have a good game.
He didn't get the ball.
Yeah, true.
He didn't have the chance to have a
defensively,
good
he
game.
didn't have a good game.
Yeah, fair. But yeah,
He does have defensive issues at times.
Yeah, he does.
But who would you bring in for him?
Yeah.
Daniel Tupou? That would be the option. But
Tupou, Suoli'i, I guess stretch.
Don't mention his name, Suoli'i. Don't mention his name.
I think...
Alex Johnston.
Adokar and...
Karaz.
Karaz. I think Toto and Adokar, especially Toto, both their spots were safe. They weren't the issue in game 1.
Oh, yeah, no.
And then the centres... The named centres were Tommy Turbo and Latrell Mitchell, who's now out.
Now it's Critter and Turbo.
It is now Critter. Talk to me about how you felt when you found out Latrell was out. What was that, last Thursday?
I wasn't surprised this time.
Yeah?
I'm like, if it happens, it happens. Critter's obviously, but Campbell Graham, what's he done to Fittler? What's he done?
Well, he wasn't in the team.
I know.
He wasn't in the team.
And if he didn't pull out in game 1, in camp for the first game, he would be there this game.
But then you can ask, why was Stephen Crichton and not Campbell Graham 18th man?
Maybe because Crichton played the first game.
And I guess Crichton
Just
can
like,
cover
yeah.
fullback as well.
Yeah, but no, I think it's more because Crichton was there the first game. Like, we may as well just
But
keep
like
him.
you can make the argument that if Campbell was healthy, he would have been there. He was over there. He was there over Crichton
exactly.
originally. So why wasn't he again?
I just think, yeah, well, like I said, because Crichton played the first game.
And
they're
I'm not saying that
we'll just keep him here.
I'm not
for
saying
now.
that Graham should have been over Crichton. I'm just hypothetically, because I thought Crichton was one of our better players in game 1.
He was, yeah.
So I'm happy with him at centre. I think there is another man that I wouldn't mind having at centre, which I alluded to in game 1. And I did mention that a couple of times. And I think I landed on the fence with, like, they're both good options.
Yeah, Jake Averillo.
Yeah, obviously Jake Averillo. But yeah, no, I think Crichton's probably either him or Graham are the best options to replace Latrell.
absolutely.
And they're not Latrell Mitchell. Like, they're not going to do even half the job Latrell was going to do. But that's unfortunately the best option. It's not a knock on Crichton. I love Crichton. I'm keen to see him next year.
You know, future Bulldogs legend.
Future Bulldogs legend. But yeah, like I was...
Hope he doesn't pull off an Aaron Woods when he moves there.
Yeah, or a Dylan Napa.
Kieran Foran.
Luke Thompson.
Tony Williams.
Viliami Kickout.
Oh, God.
Plenty of them. What was
Kotrick. There's a few.
I was about to say something, but you've just drowned me in my own sorrow about the Bulldogs that I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I was going to say how in the game 1 preview, and every year I say, like, there's 3 games a year that I get to enjoy Latrell Mitchell.
And it's Origin.
And 2 of them have been taken away from me.
You hate him
I hate him every other game, so it is disappointing. Tommy Turbo, the other centre.
That's the other one that people have been debating.
Yeah,
Why is he there?
I think he was in the same boat as Adokar after game 1. Didn't get enough ball.
Yeah.
But what did you think of him being
Graham
selected?
would have been the other option.
Yeah, again.
Before game 1, I would have picked Graham over him.
Yeah.
In that centre.
And I remember after game 1 Turbo, there were reports that because obviously he got the concussion in game 1. There were reports that he was going to not play either of the 2 rounds that have been played since, but he played both. And he played really good in both. So I'm happy for him to be back in the side.
Yeah,
obviously.
I think it's just a loyalty thing why they're keeping him there.
Yeah.
You know, he was the player of the series 2 years ago. But it's hard to get rid of him.
And as you said, there's not that many options to replace him. And yeah, I think game 1...
Not many centre options.
There's a couple, but like...
You'd have...
You got
Crichton, Graham, Staggs, I guess you can throw in there.
It's just the same blokes we mentioned for
Tony Staggs is
replacing
still up
Latrell.
there. I know a lot of people forget about him, but he'd still be in the question.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked him. And as I said, I don't think him or Adokar got enough ball. They didn't get involved enough in terms... And it wasn't their fault that they weren't getting involved enough. It was the halfback, really. Like, it was Cleary that wasn't getting them involved enough. Cleary and Yo. And I guess Frizzell a little bit wasn't passing much. So hopefully they... Off the back of a new halfback, hopefully they get a bit.
Who's getting a lot of hype around
involvement.
him for this game.
As it builds, there is more and more excitement. Before we touch on young Mitch Moses, let's talk about Jerome Luai, which is another not controversial pick, but it's another one where a lot of people, some people, were debating it. What do you make of the Luai?
I wasn't debating it.
You were happy with Luai?
I was, having a bit. I know in my predicted team for game 1, I had Cody Walker there, but realistically, Luai. And people were saying he should be dropped if Cleary's not there. I totally disagree.
Yeah.
Like, I know he's probably hasn't played many games without Cleary. Like, I know there's a few games at club.
He obviously not a lot, but he has.
But big
and
games.
Like you look at
every big game he's played, he's had Cleary.
Nah, you look at the World Cup.
Well, yeah,
he carried Samoa to the World Cup final by himself.
It's the World Cup, I know.
The World Cup's the World Cup.
Yeah,
that's the international stage.
Yeah.
He was up against Tonga, he was up against England, and he was up against
I know
Australia.
what you mean, but like, it's like, you know, the NRL are the best players in the world.
The World Cup is the best players in the world. It's the World Cup, Zane.
I know, but
it's the World Cup. He was up against England and
you get what I mean, like, Jamaica and Lebanon,
he didn't just beat those teams. He beat Tonga. He beat England, and then he came up against Australia and took it to Australia.
But what I mean, State of Origin's another level to the World Cup.
Yeah, I
and
get
so he's a grand final.
Yeah, and he hasn't played finals and he hasn't played Origin.
Yeah, without Cleary. That's what I mean there. So,
but yeah, he has played big games.
It's going to be interesting to see how he goes. If he steps up and
especially with the Eels halfback as his halfback, because he's on the record. His son at halfback. He's on the record trash talking the Eels quite a lot in the last 6 months. So that'll be interesting to see how they combine.
Yeah, it will be.
friendship wise.
Possible future Parramatta star, Jerome Lai, if it all goes well.
Well, look, they might need a 5'8".
Yeah.
They might need a 5'8".
Imagine if he goes there.
No, I don't think that'll ever
I
happen.
don't think it'll ever happen either, but imagine.
Well, yeah, imagine they go and kill it in game 2, and then it's like, imagine that at Parra.
Oh, yeah.
It could be a totally different conversation. But yeah, I know a lot of people were talking. Who were some possible replacements? Walker,
Reynolds,
Hines.
Hines.
Yeah, like to
Burden
replace
was
Lua.
there as
Burden
well.
was tossed up a little bit, but for me,
Dylan Walker I saw a few
What?
times, but I'm like, really?
that's a weird one.
Yeah, it was strange.
What
but-
about Tyrone Peachy?
yeah, the peak. Yeah, New South Wales legend. So.
Yeah, he is a New South Wales legend. Why doesn't Jamie Soward come back out of retirement? Josh Reynolds, he's still around.
Cogger.
He's been killing it. He's played one good game.
Combinations, you know.
Combinations. But yeah, I
Imagine
think...
if they did that. Imagine if...
Oh, there'd be a blowout.
then Fittler comes out and say, oh, we're looking at combinations. I'd be like, are you for real?
Yeah.
Cogger.
I'd throw my wig on the floor, stomp on it, and
I'd
buy
go up
Queensland
there and be
jersey.
like, are you for real?
Cogger and Luai.
Imagine.
Nah, you got to keep the club combos.
Exactly.
You know that's the rule.
But, like, when has club combinations ever worked?
It's
tell me that.
actually. I'll give you a stat. You want to know? You want to know the stats?
Yeah, tell me.
New South Wales have a guess at how many series they've won without club combination since 05.
More than they've lost.
They haven't won
So,
any.
They haven't won any.
They haven't won a single series since
What about
05 without club combination.
What about the Maloney Cleary one, 2018?
They were club halves.
Yeah, I know.
Maloney Cleary were
Oh,
club
so
halves.
they
I'm
have
saying
won
they
with-
haven't won without a club combination
Okay.
since 05. The last non-club combination for
Yeah, but
New
I'm
South
saying
Wales that won was Joey and
it's,
Anasta.
it's more like they're not the main stars though, the club combination. Because 2021 was like Latrell Turbo. You know, it's their show,
yeah.
their series.
But it's like just statistically, and
Go back to
stats aren't
2019,
everything.
like,
But
Tedesco had a massive series.
But yeah, statistically, New South Wales haven't won without club combos in the halves since 05.
Exactly. Right. Okay.
But
Yeah,
as you're saying, like you're right.
Like even like
that's not the
2018
be all
was
and
the
end all.
Tedesco show. and
Yeah.
should have been.
You're
the player,
100%
should have been the
correct,
player
yeah.
of the series, but somehow Billy
It's not
Slater
like
got it.
the halves carried New South Wales to victory.
Like,
But
yeah.
it is a stat that's there.
2018 was like, you know, Adokar had a great series. Like Travojevic had a good series. Like Maloney,
It was
I reckon
Cleary,
probably
Maloney.
probably should have been player of the series, but remember
And then,
that was the year Slater got it, which was the most
Yeah.
stupid
But yeah,
decision.
it was 21 was obviously Cleary Luai.
Yeah.
2019 was Cleary Maloney and then Maloney Pierce,
Yeah.
who played together at the Roosters. 2018 was Cleary
Maloney,
Maloney.
yeah.
And I think, did Pierce
Actually,
play?
game one of 2019 was Walker Cleary.
Oh, there you
and they
go.
lost.
And they lost that. There you go. The one
Yeah.
game without a
And
club combo,
2014
they
was-
lost.
2014
and then
was
2014, Reynolds and
I
Hodgkinson.
can't believe he ever played
breaking the
Origin,
drought.
Hodgkinson.
He played. He
I know
was
the way,
good.
yeah, at his peak, he was incredible at the
good.
Dogs, but after that, when he moved to the Knights, that was just the
Well, he had 2
downfall.
or 3 years at Origin as well. That's the crazy.
No, I think he had 2. I think it was 14 and 15.
I think he did 14, 15, and Reynolds did 13, 14. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
think-
yeah, it was Hodgkinson and Pierce.
Yeah. No, I think 15 they went Maloney, Hodgkinson, was it?
I think it was Pierce Hodgkinson. It might have been Maloney.
Yeah.
It might have been Maloney. It was one. It was either Pierce or Maloney and
Well,
Hodgkinson.
the Blues would have lost the series if Pierce was there, so it might have been Pierce.
Well,
so.
I mean, if it was Maloney and Pierce, they might have won.
Yeah,
It's club
Pierce
combos.
only ever won a series, which is 19
Which was
when
the
he got-
29 when he
yeah.
played one game
Yeah.
for the decider. Yeah, good on him.
Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, I think in the only replacement that I thought was a good shout was I could sort of understand Hines Moses, but the only other one would be Walker if Reynolds was halfback.
Yeah.
And then Walker was
agree.
injured for last week. No,
And the
sounds like
rumours-
the bye. He was injured and then the
Yeah.
bye.
But the rumours were that New South Wales told Walker the rest in that game,
What game?
the Dragons game.
Like the 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
The rumours were that the New South
To
Wales
save
stuff,
himself
yeah.
for Origin?
Yeah, that
Oh.
was apparently what happened.
Yeah,
and he doesn't
right.
even make the squad. So that's a bit
Interesting.
strange what happened there.
Interesting. I figured that
That night, though, was when the Roosters-Panthers game happened. So Luai might have solidified himself after that.
Yeah, true. I just figured that they didn't go Walker purely because he hadn't played. I think if
Yeah.
Walker came out and played that Dragons game and had a blinder, it
You
would have
reckon
been
they would?
hard to not go Walker Reynolds.
Yeah.
But I think that
I
came into play.
think Fittler came out and said pretty early on Moses was already...
Well, Gus came
Crazy.
out very quickly, who like basically mentors Freddie and was like, I'd
Yeah.
pick Moses. And so that was like Gus basically telling us this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Get used to it.
Because Fittler said, I don't know what all the discussion was
Yeah.
about. Moses was already
Yeah.
going to be
Which
there,
like
so-
he has played. Let's talk. We may as well talk Moses now. He's played the one Origin game.
Yeah, and he had a good game. Like they didn't win, but he played good.
Yeah, he broke his back in the 10th minute and then had like 2 try assists and was really good. Now, a lot of people say that he was bad, but he wasn't.
No.
He was good in that game. People
Not
just
at
like to hate Moses. I personally, I don't like to hate Moses. Never have, never will.
Future Bulldogs.
But yeah,
legend.
I think the fact that, obviously, because game 1,
possibly.
like, what Moses future Bulldogs,
Yeah.
we need a halfback.
Yeah, well,
there was obviously
one on the
Hines.
market now, but we'll talk about that more tomorrow.
Yeah. Hines, Reynolds, and Moses were the 3 options, right? And you got Hines, who played game. Well, he did play game 1, but he was in camp game 1 and was going to replace Cleary. Like he was told he was replacing Cleary when Cleary had the tooth problem, and then he comes out, has a shocker against Melbourne, and then you have Reynolds, who played. What year did he play?
16 for the first 2
Played
games.
the series, first 2 games,
Yeah.
and then got injured.
Injured, yeah.
And then he had like an all right game on the weekend against Knights,
Yeah,
clutched
he
up
still-
at the
yeah,
end and won the
exactly.
game. And then Moses had a blinder against the Bulldogs, and he played the last game of 21.
Yeah.
So
the
those
third
were the
game
3
now,
options. They all had a little bit of experience. I guess you'd go
Hines,
Reynolds.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't say
well,
his
I was going to say it goes Reynolds, Moses, Hines, but they all have tasted Origin at least.
Yeah.
And then it almost just came down to who was the better player.
No.
Do you think Hines' game 1 affected the selection?
Not necessarily.
You don't think it did?
No. I just think it was more the Sharks game that affected
So you think
it.
the club game affected?
Because, you know, he
the
played centre. Like, you can't judge
Yeah,
much
that's-
off that.
I
Like, I know
agree,
he
yeah.
missed that tackle, but, like, he
Can-
didn't have the chance to prove himself.
Yeah.
And he hasn't proved himself in general in a big game yet. And that's the problem I have with Hines.
Yeah.
I might say, I think he's a bit overrated.
Yeah.
Like, I know he won the Dally M, and I know he won it by a huge amount of points, but tell me, who else in that Sharks side do you think can win a Dally M?
Yeah, fair.
There's not another player who can, like, I know people say Kennedy, but
There's a
no.
couple, yeah, like there's a
takes-
couple that are all, like half capable that have to
Yeah.
have big seasons.
Yeah, but Hines is the only player in that side I look at it and be like, Dally M.
We
elite
said at the
player.
start of the year that the Sharks are a side where they've got Nico Hines, who's like
Carries
a
it.
top tier player, and then everyone else is like
B.
just
like,
they're not.
Kennedy's
Nobody's
a B,
bad, but
Mortallo's
nobody's
a B.
amazing.
Moylan can be a B, but you know, he can be
Recently.
an F sometimes. So
Yeah.
you know, like he is taking all the Dally M points in that side, and that's why he won it by a huge amount last year. So I think he's a bit overrated, and I know I'm going to cop it for saying this. but
Yeah.
I had to say it.
And
Like,
he,
I
as you
love
said,
the guy, like off field, great guy,
and he's
We
a
all know
good
that.
player.
He's a good player.
He's an
yes.
awesome player.
He carries that side,
but he hasn't had a big.
when he gets shut down, he doesn't play well. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
Yeah, and like you look at the finals last year, obviously he lost 2.
And I'm sure he can overcome it.
Yeah,
I'm confident
100%.
he can eventually like overcome, you know, fall in.
He's early. He's in his second year as a halfback.
Exactly.
A lot of people seem to forget that it's literally only his second year as a halfback. You look at like Cleary and Moses. How many years at halfback have they played?
yeah, I think
Heaps.
similar. Yeah, like
No,
6 or 7.
Yeah, exactly. And like Hines is in his second year. So I think give him a couple of years and he's going to continue to be an amazing player and he's only going to get better, right? But as of right now, he probably wasn't. I think it was very tight in terms of who was the best option.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I
Do you
think out
think
of the
Moses
3,
was the right one?
it's so hard because before selection, I was on Team Reynolds.
You're on
I was
Reynolds.
heavily Team
I
Reynolds.
was
And
Team Hines
yeah.
until that Shark game.
What about in between, say, like after watching the weekend of football, but before selection?
I would go on Reynolds and Walker after that.
Yeah, well,
That
I'll
was my
see.
next option.
That's the thing. So I was Team Reynolds, but then I was before the weekend of football, like not the weekend just gone, the weekend
Yeah.
before selection. I was, if it's Reynolds, it has to be Walker. If it's Walker, it has to be Reynolds.
Right.
But then after that, I was sort of like, I can live with Reynolds' Luai. Because Reynolds, I came around to the fact that I want to play a similar to Cleary, and all 3 were similar to Cleary. But then after the games, obviously Hines sort of unfortunately took himself out of, he played himself out
I don't know
of
if
the
he
spot.
played under too much pressure or
Yeah.
not. But
And then
yeah,
and so
wasn't a
then it
good
came
game.
down to Moses and Reynolds, and obviously Moses came out, killed it against the Bulldogs, which is the Bulldogs. But the more that I think about Moses, the more I'm leaning towards him being the right option. I think he's the safer option.
Yeah. I'll look at it a bit more now and think, I think he's the right one.
And I'm not saying that he's going to go and win us Origin. I know he's capable of winning us Origin, but he's also capable of
Yeah,
costing,
stuffing it,
maybe
yeah.
not costing us
Throwing
Origin,
an
but like they can
intercept.
lose.
Like I can see a world where he like throws an intercept or something. And
He's a player that's played in a lot of big games, and he's weird in that a lot of the time he crumbles under the pressure, but then there's also a lot of the time almost 50-50 where he rises to the occasion and clutches up. And so it's hard to predict what's going to happen on Wednesday, but he is a player that can clutch up on the big stage in Origin at Suncorp, and he's also a player that can let the pressure get to him and he can crumble. But what do you think?
yeah, I'm the same with you.
Yeah?
I'm like the best example is that game against Penrith earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Where he clutched that field goal. But, you know, there's been a few finals matches where I'm like,
Yeah.
is he really an elite half? Like, you know, he hasn't had. I think there's one. I'm trying to think which game it was. Might have been 2020. It was the year they played Souths in the finals.
And he missed that goal.
Yeah, he missed that goal. Well, he was good before that point, but
Yeah.
when he missed that goal, that was the end of his night.
Yeah,
he
and
just
it
crumbled from that
It seems
point.
like when something goes against him,
He'll have
he
a
sort of
sook and
falls
then,
away.
he'll fall
but
away.
in saying that, when things go his way,
He gets
he
better.
builds and builds and
Yeah.
builds. He doubles
There's
down.
also that. The same goes with Gufferson as well.
Yeah.
Because in that game, this 2020 game, Guffo scored they combined together and got 3 tries pretty quickly in that first half. I don't know if you remember the game or not.
Yeah, no, I
but
do. Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, Parramatta will run away here. Then South fought back in and they had that kick right in front as well too.
Yeah.
Take the lead and they missed it. And South scored off that set
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So,
And the
you
game
know,
just shifted.
you know.
They seem to be big momentum players.
Yeah.
Which can be really good and it can also be really
Yeah,
bad.
exactly. And Parramatta in general are a momentum team. When Campbell Gillard and Parlo are running through, they're unstoppable.
And
I was going to mention this.
Yeah.
I think I might have mentioned it after the Dogs game last week. Do you think Parramatta are the best offloaders in the league?
Yeah.
I think they are.
Yeah, they
I
are.
can't believe how much they offload.
Yeah, they offload heaps.
They do. I'm like, whoa. And it was the same in that South game when they played South.
Yeah.
They just
I think
don't
Hopgood's
stop.
a big part of that.
Yeah, Hopgood,
He
Polo.
loves an offload, yeah.
He kills it. Madison kills it in offloads.
Yeah. I think Parramatta, they've been so under the radar this year. And
Yeah, but there's reasons.
because
they're
let's-
only made the 8 for the first time this year. This
do
week.
you know what that's what I mean though? Like they've been playing like a top 8 side all
But they
year.
got the second best for and against.
Anyway,
as well.
we'll come back to Parramatta in the round recap.
yeah.
We don't want to be
Yeah.
diving into Parramatta in an Origin special. I just don't like diving into Parramatta. Nah, but back to Moses. I feel like as well, he's easily one, especially with Cleary out injured now. Like as of right now, he's one of the most informed sevens.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's under the radar in terms of how good he's
Yeah,
playing
I
this
agree.
season. To be honest,
I agree.
He's
He's
found a bit
underrated.
of form.
There's times where he's overrated, but then there's times where he's underrated.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
a bit like,
Yeah.
which Moses are we going to get tonight? The
Yeah.
overrated Moses that sulks and whinges, or the underrated Moses that absolutely carves up and kills it?
And like you look at the Bulldogs game it was well documented that was an Origin audition.
Yeah.
And that if he played good, he was in
gets
the
the
squad.
jersey.
And what did he do?
He killed it.
He killed it.
Yeah.
So as I said, there's multiple worlds where Mitch Moses goes out on Wednesday and kills it. And if he can get out there and have an early try assist or something, or like a big 40-20 or something, he can build off that and put in a really good
But
performance.
if he gets out there and throws an intercept,
But if he
early
goes
or
out there and
makes an
gets
error,
crunched, then he might fall away. And so I think a big thing for Mitch is if something does go wrong early, he needs to bounce back from it and just forget about it. The other thing with Mitch Moses I sort of touched on earlier is that in game one of the big issues was Cleary and Yo, how slow they were and they kept turning under. They weren't digging into the line. They weren't creating anything for Turbo or Fox. Mitchell Moses is really good at creating stuff.
Yeah.
Him and
But with Yo, that's the problem with Yo there.
No,
I
see,
just find Yo very slow.
but the thing is, I think
Origin level, he's not a lock. I think he's more of a middle.
I think Yo's slow because that's how Panthers play footy, right?
Yeah.
It's their style of play, but I feel like Cleary not being halfback is going to force Yo to play not that style. And
You
so I feel
reckon?
like he'll be less
that's
involved.
the reason why I reckon they should have put Murray.
Yeah, and
into
I
lock
was
for this
on
game and Yo to the bench.
I was pro either moving Yo to an edge or benching him.
Yeah.
But I think now that Cleary's not there, it should be fine.
Yeah, right, okay.
It should because
But
they
I
won't be
think
playing
without
that
Cleary
style.
there, they should have. Even if Cleary was there, I'd still.
Yeah, and
think
I'd
I
still
would
be
put
happy to
Murray
make
at
that
lock.
switch, but I'm less worried about Yo because Cleary isn't there, and I'm also excited because a big part of Para's attack is Moses and Gutho, right? With Gutho out the back, Moses has the option to use Gutho out the back or Gutho is
Can
almost a
find Moses.
distraction at the back, and Moses can do something himself. And Tedesco's going to play a really similar role to Gutho.
Tedesco's going to have a good game.
Where Tedesco's and like they've played footy together, they're really good mates.
Yeah, Tigers legends.
Yeah, Tigers legends, and so that's exciting to me. I think the fact that Tedesco's fullback
That just
is
reminded
another
me,
reason that Moses can
where
do
on the
well.
table did the Tigers finish that era?
I don't remember. I don't know.
Like probably ninth.
It would have been the ninth
yeah.
era.
But I think there were a few years with like 14th, 15th
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah,
they're different players now to what
and
they were
there's
then.
different players around him.
Tedesco
as well.
doesn't get injured every single week like he used to. When
And
he
the
was at
other thing
Tigers.
with Moses is like talking about how in that era the Tigers maybe they weren't doing the best. Moses loves playing off a forward pack.
Yeah.
That's another reason when he's going good at Parrots, when Paulo and Regan are really going. And whose forward pack would you say was better in game one?
Oh, Queensland.
You reckon? I thought New South Wales
You
as well.
reckon?
Oh, maybe
No,
New
I
South
don't.
Wales. They didn't get dominated though.
Lindsay Collins.
They laid
over-
a good enough
Lindsay
platform.
Collins over Tavita.
Yeah, but New South
No.
Wales had a lot of field position, and they just didn't execute. And I feel like Moses, if he has the field position, he'll execute. He's really good at freeing up players out while going himself.
I'm very interested to see how he plays Moses.
Yeah,
Like if he has a blinder,
it
if he
could
has a
go
shooter.
either way.
But you know how it goes. Like if we lose this game on tomorrow night or tonight when you're watching.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
assume, unless you're watching it very late.
Yeah, stay up Tuesday night.
If they lose, we know what Moses is going to suffer.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a
like,
tough
gonna
position
be the
to be
back page, It's going to be
Moses.
the front page of the paper. Moses failure, Queensland win. It's not.
He's
gonna
in
be
one
good.
of those weird spots where if they lose, it's his fault. If they win, it's his
Praising it.
fault.
Similar to Mitchell Pearce.
I've got
every
a
year
question. If New South Wales win game 2 and 3 with Moses at halfback, who's halfback game 1 next year?
Cleary, he'll walk back.
You
into
think
that.
Cleary walks back in
Yeah,
if Moses?
I think he
Really?
will.
I don't think so.
If Fittler's still coaching, they will.
Yeah?
If they win the series, Fittler will get
Yeah.
keep his job.
I think, I'm not saying Cleary won't be the halfback next year, but I think it's Moses's to lose.
Yeah.
If they
I
win
can see
game
what
2
you mean,
and
but
3.
I just can't see a world where Cleary doesn't get called back in.
I think if Moses
certain
wins
he'll-
games, like you got to look at how impossible this task is. If he wins game 2 and 3,
Yeah, I know. But
and then he's in form next year, you can't not pick him. It's his
I'm
to
just
lose.
confident Cleary's
Yeah,
going to
fair
walk straight
enough.
back in there when he's
And
fit
like
again.
for the last 5 years, he has been labelled as the guy for New South Wales for the next 10 years. But this is a chance for Moses to steal that. And
It is, but I
it's
just don't think it happens.
It's a matter of time until we find out if it does happen.
It's the same thing. Like, what if Reynolds came in and had these?
Well, I think
blinders?
it's
Would you
different
keep
for
him there?
Reynolds though because he's older. Moses' age being similar to Cleary builds a
Oh,
case
I
for
think he's
him.
a bit older than Cleary. I think he's
have a
closer
look.
to his 30s, Moses.
I know
He's
Cleary's
been around for a long
26.
time, Moses.
Yeah. Let's have
I
a
think
look.
he's been around for.
I'd
Close
say,
to-
what do you reckon,
close to-
29? 28. It's only 2
Yeah,
years.
okay. 'Cause
Only
I
2
swear,
years.
swear he's been around since like 14, maybe.
I think he
Maybe.
debuted very young
Yeah, right.
at the Tigers, yeah. Let's move to the forwards. I think that's enough halves chat.
Yeah.
Paulo and Haas are the starting forwards. Obviously, Paulo was off the bench in game 1.
Two best halves, forwards in the game.
The two best halves, pain us.
Imagine.
No, the two, easily the two, or maybe not easily. Haas is easily the best forward in the
Yeah,
game.
Paulo's
Paulo
up
easily
there.
one
Top
of them.
5.
Yeah, easily top
Front row.
5. And obviously Tavita got dropped. He was the other starting prop. Let's talk a little bit
I'm
about
fine with
Tavita.
being dropped
Yeah.
because I don't think he should have even been there in game 1.
I
That's the most
think
odd selection. ever.
statistically in game 1 he was on par with Paulo and Haas, but he came back in between the two origins. He was shocking at the Bulldogs,
yeah.
and he was shocking again on the weekend.
The Eels
so-
game is like one of the worst games he's played.
He was
for the Dogs.
completely exposed,
It
yeah.
was terrible.
And so I can live with Haas and Paulo.
But I like
obviously I
I
can
like
live with
one of
them,
them being
but-
on the bench to start.
I liked Paulo off the bench in
So
game
would
1.
you have started Stefano?
That's the thing. That's the problem. I don't know if you
Which
can
we'll
start
get to
Stefano.
soon. We'll get to soon.
But yeah, Paulo was so good off the bench in game 1. He was maybe I don't know if I'd say he was one of our best, but he was
Or
he was
should
top half of our
should
players.
Talakai been called into the side? You know, a centre who can play them forwards. That
no, he should not have been. But yeah, I like Paulo and Haas. They write their own.
Yeah,
resume.
they're always going to be there, but yeah, I like one of them's.
It's a matter of should one of them be on the bench, and I think ideally Paulo does come off the bench, but I don't think he can start with Kamani
Yeah, I
in
know.
his debut.
Yeah,
and so
in that arena as well.
Yeah, but yeah. Do you have anything?
Nah,
you wanna
not
say?
really.
Yeah,
Like, we
that
kinda
it
went over
speaks
it,
for
like,
itself.
yeah.
Cookie at hooker.
Rumoured Robson might
Robson's
start.
the 17 or the 14.
Yeah.
He's in 17. But yeah,
And apparently it was a dogfight between Cam McInnes and Robson to get that 14 or 17. So
Yeah, the bench utility
can be
spot.
in it. So
I liked him as
I know,
in the
but-
mix.
like he can't even make the Sharks starting team.
Yeah, but he's on the bench for the Sharks because of the
I know,
role
but
he
I haven't
plays.
rated him since his Dragons day.
It's because of the role he plays.
Yeah.
And that's why I sort of didn't mind if he got selected because he can play hooker and lock. But the thing is, I think Robson, I think he might play a bit of lock.
You reckon?
Yeah, he's got to see.
What do you think of his selection, Robson? Though, like Cook speak for himself.
You want me to be
like-
honest, Zane? Can I rant?
Yeah,
I would not have had a second hooker.
yeah.
Obviously,
neither would I.
In game one, Appy Coruscant was hooker, and they had Crichton. They had Hines on the bench, and they had no game plan for Hines, but they had Appy there, who's not an 80-minute hooker, and they needed a hooker on the bench, right? Appy gets hurt. They pick Cook, who is an 80-minute hooker at hooker, but then they cater for Appy's needs, even though Appy isn't in the team. If you're going Appy, pick a bench hooker.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're going Cook, don't pick a bench hooker because Cook can play 80.
Yeah, I would have gone Cook on the bench and started Robson if this is the way
And
they're
I think
going.
that's what they're going to do.
Because I think Cook adds a lot more coming
But
off the bench.
my issue
when
with
the
that-
forwards get tight and you bring Cook on, he's energized, he's ready to go. He can
My
just run
issue
through
with that, though, is we tried that last year and it did not work.
Yeah, you're right.
And in theory, it's a brilliant idea because Cook, he is perfect for that role. He can come on. He's getting a little bit older, so less minutes
Yeah.
might benefit him. But we tried it last year and it didn't work. So why we just... And in game one, that's why we didn't have two hookers.
And
because
Freddie
it didn't
even
work
came
last
out and
year.
said it didn't work last
Yeah.
year, so we're not doing it. And then he comes out this game and does it again. Like,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what
get
doesn't make sense to me.
it.
It just doesn't make sense to me. And I love Cook. And Cook, as I said,
Yeah,
in theory,
Bulldogs legend
would be great
again.
off the bench. And he is an 80-minute hooker.
Yeah.
I would have picked him at hooker in game one, and I would have had him play 80 minutes. But it just doesn't make sense to me that Appy Coruscant game one, we needed a bench hooker. He goes out. We pick the bench hooker anyway. It's just stupid, to be
is
honest.
stupid.
And I got nothing against Reece Robson. I got nothing against him.
I like him.
But I just don't think it's necessary to have a bench hooker when you
But
can
again,
have
he's an
Burden or
80-minute
Hines
hooker
there.
as well.
What's
He's
that?
an 80-minute hooker as well.
Exactly. Like that just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah.
Like just have one of them play 80 and then have Burden or Hines on the bench. And worst case scenario, you just don't play Burden or Hines, which obviously you probably should come up with a game plan.
And you never know. Burden could play in the middle. Like they
Well,
did
I was
with
about to say, you
Talakai.
can put...
Talakai can play there. Burden can.
Realistically, you can put Burden in the middle for the last 10 and just have him put up Torps.
Yeah.
Or if you got Hines, you can sit him on the bench and
But
not
the
use
Torps
him.
is what costed them in the third game last year.
What do you mean?
Like in the second game, they went really well. But in the third game, there was that one where he kicked up and it went 20 metres behind him.
Yeah, no, yeah.
They didn't use it at the right time. And that's what really costed them in the end.
Well, yeah,
Because Queensland scored
and
off
that
those
seems to
plays.
be a problem with Freddie a lot. He has the tools, but he doesn't put together a good game plan.
Yeah.
Like as you said, they use it at the wrong
Combinations is what he depends on.
time. Yeah, and then the other thing with obviously I was saying Hines, maybe pick him on the bench instead of Robson, and worst case scenario you don't play him, which sounds really stupid to not play a player off the bench, obviously, but. In game one, Freddie only used 6 out of 8 interchanges anyway. There's 2 interchanges he didn't use, so it's not like
But I
having
remember
Hines on the bench not using him, he's going to waste
2018 when Peachy
interchanges.
played. He only played 8 minutes in the first
Yeah.
game. I think
Yeah.
might have been 7 in the second. So they only put him on to give him a run.
Sometimes it's a good idea to have the coverage, but you just have to have the balls to not use it if you don't need it. And that's where I think probably Burden's a better option than Hines.
You reckon?
Because if Turbo goes down, you put Burden on because he can play. He covers more positions. Sometimes maybe you should have a player there that can just cover concussions.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Robson and Cook.
But
can
it all comes back to game
Cook's
plan.
got fullback days in him.
That's the
He has
thing.
a few-
What happens in this game if Tom Trbojevic gets concussed?
Yeah, you're right.
You know what
I
happens?
reckon they move a back rower out.
A
to
back
the
row goes to centre. Now,
Yeah.
what happens if James Tedesco gets concussed?
They'll move either Trbojevic to back, or maybe
Yeah,
even.
and an edge player,
Yeah.
Yo or Murray, goes to centre.
Yeah.
What happens if Jerome Loy gets concussed?
Well, let me think actually.
Because there's no Latrell now.
I know.
He can't cover 6.
Yeah,
It'll be-
Andrew Webster's disappointed.
It'll probably be Yo or Tedesco
God.
covering 6. It will be.
Yeah.
It's
Even
not Toe.
even
Maybe
Trbojevic.
Turbo.
Even that's what I was saying.
And
mate.
that's why I'm like, if you're only using 6 out of 8 interchanges, put Burden or Hines on
like
the
I was
bench
saying,
again.
Andrew Webster would be disappointed. Like Latrell can't play.
Yeah. Picked him at 6 for game 1. And that's why it made sense when Latrell was centre But now Latrell, because he has 6 in him, but now he's not there. Like, who covers the half? Especially if it's Mitch Moses that goes down.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's a halfback. You're putting Luai to halfback and Tedesco to 6 probably.
Yeah.
I just think it's a better option to have your 80-minute hooker play 80 minutes and have somebody that can be there just in case. And worst case scenario, you just don't play him. Worst case scenario, you just don't play him. Which, when you're using 6 out of 8 interchanges, it's not the worst thing in the world. Do you reckon there's a world where... Because obviously Latrell got ruled out late. Is there a world where Matt Burton comes onto the bench?
Possibly. But I think that'd have to be a late injury.
I think, yeah. No, I don't mean as in he gets activated. I mean, starting the game, does Burton come onto the bench because there's no halves cover?
Or you reckon they'll make it a late change?
I don't think they will, but I think they should.
For who?
Well, it'd have to be Robson.
You reckon after this height, like they're going to let Robson down?
That's why I said I don't think it will happen, but I think it should happen. Because there is no halves cover.
Exactly.
But anyway, shout out to Reece Robson. I love you. I have nothing against Reece Robson, but I am against picking
Chris
2 80-minute
Thomas believes
hookers.
he should be the 80-minute hooker and that he's the only chance New South Wales have.
Well, to Chris Thomas's... Chris Thomas?
Yeah.
To his credit, I think it should be an 80-minute hooker and a bench utility.
And apparently he's the Blues' only hope of winning the game.
I feel like I have the same thoughts, but for Matt Burton, Chris. And you know why that is? It's just bias.
Yeah.
You muppet.
Yeah.
Keep embarrassing yourself.
Poor troll.
Where were we? We just did hooker. Let's go to the second rowers. Frizz and Young, the same as game 1.
I like Frizz. I think Young should be on the bench.
And start Murray.
Martin.
Yeah. I'm not going to... I'm happy with how it is, but at the same time, I'd also be happy with that.
I liked Frizz in the first game. I thought he ran really well.
I liked Martin off the bench in the first game. That's the thing.
I can see what you mean.
But it's... You can also... I also like it if he starts.
But I want to see how Young goes off
the bench. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Because I reckon Young... If he wasn't dropped after that first game, I feel like they're going to stick with him for a few years.
Well, I was surprised that they didn't drop him because it looked like he got hooked in game 1. Because he played the first 30 and then go back on.
I know.
So I was surprised he got picked. But yeah, you're right. If they did pick him again, it looks like he'll be there for a while. Yeah, I could live with Martin starting, but I can also live with how it is.
Or even Murray starting.
Or
Murray.
Either of them. Yo at lock.
Yeah. I don't like it.
You don't like it? We sort of touched on it earlier.
I prefer Murray there. And it's not even biased. I just, overall, in general, I think Murray's better than Yo at club level. And I just think Murray's a lot more faster. He's got that quick play the ball. I feel like in Origin level, Yo would go better as a middle.
I feel
like Murray at Origin level is better.
I think the game plan's going to be different in this game. Obviously, Yo played 80 in game 1. I don't think he plays 80 again.
You reckon Murray will come on to
I think Murray or maybe Robson rotates into lock, yeah.
Oh, I feel like they'd put Murray there before Robson. They'd have to.
I think they might try and use Robson, sort of like how Harry Grant gets used. He sort of rotates into lock.
Yeah, but it'd be strange if they bring Murray onto the edge and then bring Robson, who doesn't play lock, into lock, and play Murray, who plays lock. And just, it'd be strange.
Tell me, does Brad Fittler like to make strange decisions?
Yes, he does.
I'm not saying that's what should happen, but I have a feeling that, Yo won't play 80. And I think and if he doesn't, it's Murray or Robson that goes into lock. But my point being that Murray off the bench, he probably will still end up playing lock at some stage anyway. Yeah. And it'd be the same if Murray's starting a lock and Yo's off the bench. So I think that's the thing a lot of people forget. Being on the bench isn't an insult in the modern game.
Yeah, I know.
They play a role.
I know,
and some players are better off the bench. Speaking of, Uit Kamanu.
Strange. The most weird decision. I looked at his stats the other day. So we all remember he got selected for game 3 or got called in late.
Yeah.
Game 3 of 2021, was it?
Did he play?
No.
Yeah,
but that was the year when Moses Leota got called up, but then when he got into camp, they said, And it's the same thing happened with Mulatalo, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, for Queensland.
Yeah. That was, I remember.
Because obviously you have Clemmer, you got Saifidis, you got TPJ. Like, there were other choices.
So, Stefano's played 46 games for his career.
Yeah.
He debuted in 2020, played 3 games. 2021, he played 21, and he got selected for Origin that year.
Yeah.
3 games the year prior.
But that's because Freddie likes to do
that would have meant he played around 15 games in 2021.
Freddie likes to bring in the young blokes into camp to taste.
It's just strange because I remember seeing him get picked. I'm like, who the hell is this?
Like, full disclosure, I consider myself as someone that knows like a lot about footy in terms of like even just knowing every single player ever. Not ever, but you know what I mean?
I feel like I'm close to the same. I know
But
every player
I
is.
had no idea who Stefano Ukamani was in 21 when he got picked in Origin. I literally had no idea.
2022 played 9 games.
Yeah, right.
2023 this season he's played 13.
That's interesting that he only played 9 last year.
It's very odd that he's there.
Who would you have gone in?
And actually, no, 2020 he didn't play for the Tigers. He played for Parramatta.
Oh.
Played 3 games for him.
There you go.
So yeah,
Who would you have picked instead of him?
Saifidi brothers.
Clemmer?
Clemmer, yeah, up there. Twal.
Twal?
Yeah.
Shout out to Alex Twal.
Tavita Totola.
Totola,
Yeah, there's a few options.
Yeah, and that's my point. Like, there
Everyone's
was
favourite
options.
Queenslander, Mark Nichols.
Mark Nichols.
Why not?
No, like there were options, though, wasn't there? But I guess he was in camp game 1. Obviously, Freddie likes him. I think it's another Freddie selection.
Yeah, it is.
And then Murray, Martin, and Robson. I feel like we already talked about them. But do you have anything else you want to touch on?
Not
about
really.
Those 3? And then Zane. We echoed this sentiment in game 1. I'm going to echo it again. Is Matt Burton the greatest 18th man ever?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Let's say
All right,
he
let's
is,
move
yeah.
on to Queensland. You learned your lesson from the first preview. No, Matt Burton, 18th man. Obviously, he got called into camp late again, which I love. I love seeing Matty Burton get called into camp. I love seeing him rock up to the team hotel late. It's like you're calling in Batman to come help fight crime or something. Obviously, it sucked for the Bulldogs because we ended up getting pumped by the Sharks.
Yeah,
Matt Burton,
against at the
18th man. Do you agree that they called him into camp and like not Nico or not somebody else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For that reason that he can back up in
His
halves or the
versatility,
back
yeah.
line.
Yeah, I think it also would have been tough having Nico be in camp and not be the 7 because like he was basically the 7 and then got dropped. Like realistically,
I think in game 1 he was only selected just so people wouldn't
Yeah.
like Fittler.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same Campbell Graham. I think the
Yeah.
only reason those 2 were selected was for that reason.
To shut people up.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
I honestly think that's what happened.
Yeah, okay. There isn't really anything else to touch on in terms of just news and stuff around camp. I don't think just the same old boring stuff. All right, Queensland, the wigs are off. I hate this part, Zane. I hate this part, especially now that they beat us.
Reece Walsh killed it last game. We'll kill it this game. Not much to talk about.
He was
Should Ponga have got back? No, not after that game 1 performance.
he killed it in game 1.
He did, yeah.
He killed it. He just did it the most he
Gave
could
me
do.
Billy Slater vibes.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it
Like
was
he's not at that Billy Slater level yet, where he's running with one hand.
Yeah.
I think he
Classic.
could get there eventually.
Maybe one day. Are his hands that big? I don't know. Maybe one day. Yeah, I just feel like a lot of people either expected him to absolutely kill it or just flop.
Yeah,
and he killed it.
Killed it. Yeah,
Which we knew was in him. I didn't think it would happen, but it was always in him.
he was always going to get their game too.
Now, the biggest talking point out of Queensland camp was Cobbo getting
Big
injured
loss. Coates coming in,
and Coates coming in.
who I don't think's thrived since going to the Storm. Like he
Yeah.
did at the Broncos. But I know that Broncos side that he played in was terrible.
I
that year.
expected him to just go and be the best winger in the comp when he moved to Storm, and he just hasn't
Well,
been.
I think the year he was at the Broncos, they were crap. Remember,
He
it was
killed it,
2020.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the year. So
Yeah.
it made him look better than what
Yeah,
he was. But,
that's a fair point.
you know, in that Storm side, there's a lot of other stars. I think he gets shut down a lot.
He's
more
and he's
now.
not. It's not like he's playing bad. He's just not playing up to as
Yeah.
good. And I had high expectations though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, what do you think about him coming in?
I think
Best
it's fair
option?
enough. Like Corey Oates is there as well, but you know, I
And
would've
Gagai.
Yeah, Gagai. But I would have gone Coates.
Yeah, fair. I feel like Coates was because he played last year, right?
Yeah,
Because he was a big part of Adokar getting dropped. Like that's what Freddie said because of the aerial attack.
Yeah,
I wonder, does the aerial attack come back? It didn't seem to affect Freddie's selections this year. Maybe a couple of excuses last year. Now the centers are the same, Holmes and Hammer.
Yeah, no debate there.
Man,
Hammer was another one.
how
that
good was he in
debated,
game
but yeah,
one?
he was one of their best players.
I remember a lot of people were like, Turbo's just going to make him look like a clown. It was almost the other way around.
Yeah,
And that break down the sideline,
I think that's what hyped him up to play well.
he did on
killed it
Turbo.
in
He
game
scored the
one.
first try, didn't he? Yeah, he was good. And then Tulangi obviously keeps his wing spot.
Who was another one that was pretty debated in that first game.
Yeah.
But again, he killed it as well.
I feel like I want to give a shout out to Queensland because they just get it.
Yeah,
they haven't made any unnecessary changes. Obviously, they won the first game, which helps. But like they just get it in terms of like picking the same team. It makes our job a bit easier because there's not that much to talk about. The halves, obviously, Cameron Munster, Daly Cherry Evans.
Yeah.
There's not much to say there.
They're always going to be there.
Would you say Munster's the best player in the game right now? like with
I have
Cleary.
Cleary overall as the best player, but
he's injured at the
yeah.
moment. Like, it's just like, as
Munster
of right
for sure.
now,
I reckon he's a future immortal.
it's weird saying stuff like that, but like,
Yeah.
he's so good.
Yeah.
And he's almost like a really unique player. We haven't actually seen that many 5'8" like him. I don't think
And
we
I
have.
remember when he moved to 5'8" from fullback, people were questioning it.
Yeah.
They're like, really? Is he a 5'8"? He definitely is.
Yeah. And it was like Hughes as well was a fullback first and then moved to halfback. And that's why I feel like we haven't seen many players like Cameron Munster, because we haven't seen that many fullbacks transition to 5'8". Obviously, like Lockie comes to mind.
Yeah.
Ponga tried to. But yeah, I just like Cameron Munster. He's just so unique, but he's just so good. And he's got dog in him as well. Just he does. And he's such a good Origin
player.
player.
At Origin level as well.
Can you remember a time he's had like even just an average Origin game?
No.
He's just always so good at Origin.
Always fires up for it as well.
Cherry Evans, obviously, he's captain as well. He was pretty good in game one. I feel like he was sort of slept on how good he was.
Clean that he kicked.
He knows his job.
It was like the perfect 40-20 as well.
Yeah, it was perfect. He knows that like he's got Cameron Munster next to him, so he doesn't have to be flashy. Cherry Evans just does his job. Just gets the boys around the park, kicks. I hate him. I hate Daly Cherry Evans. Do you hate Daly Cherry Evans? Because like, I hate
find him
Manly.
annoying.
Yeah.
Like, just the way he talks, the way he looks. I'm just like, shush.
But yeah, good on him. Lindsay, Collins, and Tino. Were they the starting props?
Yeah,
in
they
game
started
one?
in the end, those two.
So obviously no changes there. They were like both good in game one.
Collins,
They're both good players. Collins of Space Jam fame.
Then the hooker.
And then the hooker,
Benjamin Hunt.
Dozer.
The
future Bulldogs legend, Ben Hunt.
We'll talk more about him tomorrow, but
Yeah.
I can't debate that selection.
Yeah.
Some people say Grant should start. He should be on the bench. Either way it works.
Yeah. And I feel like
We'll talk about Grant now. Like, you know,
it's just
again,
the same thing we said in game one, though, right? Like, it just works either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, what did you want to say about Grant?
Yeah, always going to be there.
Yeah.
Arguably the best hooker in the game.
And like, you know what to expect now. And even though you know what to expect, New South Wales just failed to shut it down anyway. It's Hunt will start. Grant will come on 20, 30 minutes in and absolutely destroy our forwards. Hunt will move in the middle somewhere and then they'll just keep rotating in and out. And then they'll just both have at least 8 out of 10 games. The second rowers for Feeder and Nanai.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nanai it is.
Nanai would have been there in the first game if he wasn't suspended.
I feel like
So I can't debate his selection.
I think a
'cause I
couple
know
of people
Slater
were
loves him.
surprised by this selection.
I wasn't.
I'm not saying everyone was,
Yeah.
but there was a couple of people just because obviously he was injured game one, and because of how good the fullback was, there were people that were like, does he get back into this side?
Yeah.
I think injuries did play a role in him getting back into it, but even if there wasn't injuries, as you said, he probably.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to leave him out. Like, he was so good last year. I know Slater is really fond of him.
Yeah. And for Feeder, Ben killing it for Gold Coast this year as well.
And he was game one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's been in really, really good form for the Titans. Really good form. I feel like as well, do you reckon Nano maybe would have been better off? I was going to say on the bench, but there's not really anyone there.
I think he would have started over Tom Gilbert in the first game.
I think, Gilbert, I'm still surprised I started him on an edge. I still have the problem with Queensland, which I still have the issue with who covers centre, but I have less of an issue now because we literally watched Fafita and Hunt play centre, and then they like scored 2 tries or 3 tries and won the game. So I remember going into game one, that was a big issue I had with them not picking his Catewell.
Yeah, Catewell.
But that's just Queensland mentality. Ben Hunt going to centre and doing a job.
Yeah.
So it's not an issue for me anymore. Carrigan obviously at lock. He just picks himself. He's just so good.
Third best lock in the game.
Behind
slowly.
I think on current form, I'd have him
slowly coming
almost
up,
number one.
You would.
He's like definitely top 2, definitely top 3. I'd almost have him number 1 on current
I have him
form.
third overall at the moment.
Behind Murray and Yeo.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah, I guess it's very close between those 3. Obviously, we talked about Grant. You got Flegler, Cotter, and Fodawaker.
Yeah, Fodawaker I like. Really like. I think he's been very underrated. Like Corey Horsburgh, I would have loved to have seen him there.
He was his 19th man?
Yeah, 9th man. Like, it's good that he's in the squad.
Oh, man, I would have liked to see him in Origin.
He would have been fun to see in Origin. But
Ooh,
Fodawaker, I can't
not for
diss it.
us, but like...
Can't diss it at all.
Talk to me about Fodawaker, because if I'm being honest, this one surprised me a little bit.
I don't
Has he been in good form this year? He has?
I've watched a few Titans games.
I haven't
He's
watched that, man.
one that plays the full 80 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
He tries and he tackles and he runs harder, and that's what you need in Origin.
And it's him and Tino, obviously, as the Titans forward.
Yeah.
So there is like that.
Ignore that voice
connection.
crack, but yeah.
Yeah. And then, as I said, Flegler and Cotter, they were there game one. They were there last year. They do a job. Flegler, one of the best props in the game.
Yeah. And Arrow, he's injured, but do you think he would have made the side game too? Because he
might have got over Fodawaker.
Yeah.
I feel like he would have, to be honest.
He's got that Queensland spirit, that's why.
He's got plenty.
You remember him last year after the third game.
With the cane toad hat on. Even after game one, it was the same vibe. I remember listening to a radio interview I
was asking him about it the other night, and he was just like laughing and like, I'm so buggered I'm not going to be able to play that.
Yeah.
He would have been, he's probably going to be there with the cane toad hat
I remember
on,
listening to an interview after the Titans-Rabbitohs game where he got injured.
Yeah.
And like, it just reminded me of that cane toad hat interview.
The way he talks is just... He's such a cool guy, Jairo.
Yeah, he's lovable.
Yeah, he's lovable.
To be honest.
Like, he is a grub sometimes.
He's a character.
Yeah.
And then 18th man, AJ Brimson.
Yeah. I don't mind it. Like, I think Brumo's been very unlucky.
Yeah.
Like, before the season started, I would have had him as the second option for fullback behind Ponga.
I think Brumo's selection surprised me again. Like, I've got nothing against the selection, but the only thing, and I don't have anything against it. Brumo's a gun.
I think he's a good 18th man.
And he's that. But I just feel like, once again, I do feel like they need centre winger coverage.
Yeah.
But
I guess Brimson can play centre winger. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he can. But then, as I said, like they had Hunt and Fafita there and they both did a job. So maybe it's not as big of an issue as I thought it was. Because they just get it. Yeah. And so, you know what? Brimson probably could play. He could probably play front row if they needed him to.
He could play hooker,
he's a Queenslander. But yeah, no, Brimson's a gun. And he's been... You watched how different Titans were with him playing on the weekend.
Do you think he's the most underrated player?
Most underrated?
Yeah.
That's a big call. I think he is underrated. I'd have to think about it.
I think he's very close to the most underrated.
I'd have to think about it. But off the top of my head, I won't argue. Like he's definitely underrated.
Yeah.
He's a really good player. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Let's do some predictions, Zane.
Yeah.
This is where we both... I went over the game one predictions.
Yeah.
We both literally got 0.
Yeah.
So that wasn't good. Before we go into it, let's give a shout out to our friends at Picklebet, actually. We love it. We love giving a shout out to Picklebet. We love betting with Picklebet.
Give them the number.
If you're having trouble gambling or any issues, call 1-800-858-858.
Yeah. And use code HOTDOG.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you're going to sign up to Picklebet, what code are you going to use?
HOTDOG.
Code HOTDOG. You can get on any of these bets on Picklebet. Obviously, they've got the same game multi-feature. And as well, Picklebet do have a promotion for Origin. If you bet on your first try scorer, you just need them to score the first or second try and you pay that as a winner.
Yeah, okay.
So I've taken advantage of that already. I'm on Tommy Turbo, first try scorer. It's basically just boosted odds for a player to score one of the first 2 tries.
I'm on Xavier Coates.
As first try scorer? Yeah. Well, let's start there. There's first in the name of that market for a reason.
Yeah.
A first try scorer, you're on Coates.
Yeah.
Xavier. And you had that on TikTok today in your
that
filter.
Wasn't mine. That was the filter, but in general, I'd still have it.
First try score. Obviously, I said I was on Tommy. I was on Turbo on Picklebet. I guess I'll stick with it. I'll stick with it. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Turbo.
Anytime try scorer.
Who do you think?
I'm gonna say. I'm gonna go Teddy.
Teddy? Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Teddy. I'm trying
to now work out who you think's gonna win.
You'll see what I have to say.
So you're going Teddy anytime? For anytime, I'm going to go... It's hard to look past Hammer.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Hammer.
Good choice.
It's hard to look past him after his game 1 performance. Did he score 2?
Yeah.
Let's fly back to winner and margin. You know what? Let's make it fancy. Let's go exact margins.
I said...
But on Picklebet, it'll be 1
said it's before, and I was going to say it to you. I think it's either going to be New South Wales 13 plus or Queensland 1 to 12.
That makes no sense to me.
It does. I feel like because we see the game 2 record, New South Wales are either going to fly through this game like they did last year.
But no Latrell, no Cleary.
But I think they're either going to fly through or Queensland are going to win just. So I'm going to be biased. I'm going to say New South Wales. Let's go 14.
New South Wales. So you're going 13
I reckon like a 32 to 18 game, like high scoring.
Now let me put this in. Wait, what'd you say?
32 to 18.
You reckon? See, I'm the exact opposite. I'm feeling it's going to be low.
You reckon? So who are you going with?
I'm going to go... I've been literally, like, this is going to sound weird, but I've been thinking all day. I think about the podcast often, shockingly. I've been trying to work out, like, who am I going to go? Am I going to be... Because I think, like, straight up, I think Queensland win this game.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm like, do I get on the podcast and do I be biased? Every week I pick the Bulldogs when I don't think they're going to win. Do I do the same for New South Wales? And then
Don't do it.
And then I look at what our little tipping comp is like this year, and you're winning like 13-2 or something. So I'm going Queensland. I need some points in our tipping comp, and I do think Queensland are going to win.
Right.
So I'm going Queensland. In terms of a margin, I think it's going to be low scoring, to be honest. Not like 6-4 like in 2014, but I do think it's going to be like whoever wins probably wins 1-12. I think it either goes like I can see it being tight, or like I can also see it being a blowout, to be honest, which is like all the options. But I can see Queensland sort of running away with it once. Like if it's like New South Wales give up, basically. Like I think a lot of the time we do see game twos blow out for that reason. But I'm going to stick with it being low scoring. And I'm going to go Queensland by... I'm going to go Queensland by 6, which is going to be a painful game to watch if that's the case. Because it means New South Wales are in it till the end. Yeah. And what about man of the match?
I reckon Teddy.
Teddy
back,
in a New South Wales win? I feel like if New South Wales win, it's got to be Teddy or Moses, right?
Yeah.
For me, I'm going to go... Who got a game one? Cotter.
Yeah.
I'm going to go... I'm tossing up between Money and Walsh. You know, I'm going to go hot boy Reece Walsh.
Right. Yeah, that is a good choice.
That's it for the predictions. Yeah. That's it for the Origin episode. Thank you for watching, everyone.
Let's
trot, baby.